I was in the store and I was talking to a guy who sells smartphones, and he said the reason that the new smartphones are waterproof is because most people drop them inside the toilet when they're using their phones and they're taking a break. And I can't believe that that would be the reason that we would make smartphones waterproof, but I guess it makes sense. If you're one of these people and you use your smartphone for pretty much everything, you're going to really enjoy today's session, which is all about decluttering the smartphone. Now, I want to stop for a second. I want to say hello and welcome to the series that we're doing right now on decluttering our lives. And over the last couple of weeks, we've talked about all of the nuances and the psychological behaviors that create clutter in people's lives and that create kind of a block, if you will, for moving forward. And so what we're doing is we're looking at being more truthful with ourselves, having better relationships. Today, we're going to be talking about productivity and purpose. Okay. So if you are feeling pressure from deadlines and stress and all that kind of stuff in life, you're not alone. As a business owner with hoarding tendencies, I'm a person that on a normal basis feels a lot of stress and a lot of pressure from outside activities. Okay. And one of the things that I did, and I'll take just a short sidebar, but one of the things that I did early in my career is I went and I met with a bunch of millionaires. And I was like, if you made it, how did you make it? And can I copy some of the same systems that you use to get where you are? One of the things that I discovered was decision fatigue. And this is one that all the different millionaires and the different success people kept coming back to over and over again, is that in their lives, there's only so much mental bandwidth for making decisions. And so when they would get up every day, then they had all these decisions to make that had to do with their business. And so they discovered that if they wore the same clothes every day, like the same type of clothes every day, that would reduce that part of the decision-making process for the morning. Then when they showed up for work, they could actually use that brain power to focus on important decisions from their business. And I thought, wow, what a novel idea. And so I too started implementing those ideas, and I too started wearing the same clothes every day. Now, those of you that know me, you'll know that I've worn these same shirts for probably, like, I don't know, 20 years. And so it's kind of like my go-to outfit, but I wear the same stuff every single day. And oddly enough, I have a system where I get up every day and I pack the breakfast, lunches, and dinners for everybody in the family every day, including myself, so that every day I'm not reinventing the wheel when it comes time to making a meal. So there are little things that we can do in our lives that will help consolidate that decision fatigue that makes us feel overwhelmed. So when we talk to people who have clutter in their homes, one of the very first things they say is, I'm feeling overwhelmed and I'm feeling stressed by all the stuff that happens in my life, right? Today, we're going to be talking about smartphones and decluttering our smartphones and using apps that help streamline the productivity and reduce the decision fatigue. And so I'm really excited about today's episode. And if you're new and you're just joining us, my name's Angela Brown. I've been a house cleaning expert. I've been a professional house cleaner for 25 years in the field, and I've been training house cleaning business owners for the last 32 years. So we've got training and certification programs that we train people all across the globe. And so this is really fun for me. But as we've gone inside a lot of people's homes, we run into things like clutter and hoarding and stuff like that. And it usually becomes a different conversation that requires a lot more intensity and a lot more time and study to try to help uncover how each individual family got where they are. Okay. So regardless of how you got where you are, most of us have a phone. And so that's the thing that we're going to be discussing today, is the importance of streamlining those decisions on your phone. Okay. And that way it's going to reduce a lot of the structure that we have that we're dealing with day to day, or the just absent-minded screwing around on the phone that wastes a lot of time and energy and then leads to the decision fatigue. I noticed that one of the members of the Hoarding World team has left a note in here from a new tape. And I want to start out by saying, at the beginning of the day, if you're starting off on the right foot, and I mean the right foot meaning in the right mental space, it's going to make your day go a lot more smoothly. And so the new tape, there's a link there where you can listen to this all night, every night as you sleep. There are actually two tapes. I see the next one is the new normal, and that's an affirmations tape as well. And they're on two different channels. One is on our cleaning channel, one is on the Hoarding World channel. But both of those are tapes that you can listen to as you sleep at night. They're 8 hours long, and I turn it on low and I just let it play so that I can still audibly hear the words, but I fall asleep to it every single night. and it reminds me of all of the things that I'm headed towards, not running from, right? So when I wake up in the morning, I'm in search of all of the good things in my life, and then I'm going to recognize them when they appear, because I've been training my mind all night, every night as I sleep, with positive affirmations that lead me on the road to less stress and more productivity and higher purpose of life, living to the highest version of myself and that kind of stuff. So there you go. And thank you so much to Rita, who just added those from my team. I want to say hi and welcome to all you guys. I appreciate you guys joining me today. And I want to jump in today with a couple of ideas about the smartphone. Now, if you are like me, and if you look closely here, you will see that there are a whole bunch of little red icons at the bottom of this phone. And this means that there are a whole bunch of emails or texts or unanswered messages that have piled up during the course of a day. And if you're like me, you probably get a lot of messages during the day. I know from our business, we get about 1,600 emails, IMs, questions, all that kind of stuff that come in over the course of a day. So every day we could go to inbox 0, and at the end of the day, all of the little icons have popped up again as being full, because we get a lot of messages during the day. So what we want to try to do is we want to streamline as much of this as possible so that the stress is reduced, and when we wake up, it's like a clean slate. So if you've ever gone to a hotel, imagine that you're on vacation. And this is one of the reasons people love vacations, is because when they go on vacation, what happens is they walk into an empty hotel room. There are no trinkets and knickknacks on the surfaces of the bureau or the dresser or the bedstand. It's just empty. The bed is clean, it's made. There is nothing, no boxes, there's no junk, there's nothing around the sides of the bed. Everything is neat and tidy. When you walk into the bathroom, it's clean. And there might be a few little items there, which, you know, shampoo and conditioner and soap and stuff, but there's no extras. And so we love going on vacation because we walk in and it's just this clean slate. It's just emptiness, right? And so I'm not encouraging us to be minimalists, but what I am encouraging us is, as we reduce the clutter, it creates a feeling of calm. And as we have a feeling of calm, we are then able to think clearly and to respond in a different way than if we're feeling this overwhelm and clutter and chaos, right? So everybody has pressures, everybody has stress, and everybody has deadlines that they have to deal with on a normal everyday basis. So that's not new, and I cannot make that go away, but we can streamline the process. And this is the whole purpose of what we're doing in this series. When it comes to our phones, though, most of us have our phones with us 24/7. And like me, I sleep with my recording app on at night, so I still have it with me when I sleep. But this has all of my business stuff on it, from calendars to checklists. Many of you have shopping lists and different apps and stuff like that that are on your phone. So one of the things we want to focus on while we're talking about our phones is, how can we get the most use from the phones that we have, and in a way that is helpful to us. Okay, so the first thing I want us to do is I want us to go through the apps that we have, and I want us to delete all of the apps that you're not using. Now, if you look closely at this picture, you'll see that there are 4 little tiny arrows here, 4 little circles. If you hover over an app and you just hold your finger on it for a long period of time, and I'm talking about the iPhone specifically because this is the one that I have, and it might be different on your phone, but every phone has this capability somehow, that when you press on the button and you just hold it there, all of the apps start to jiggle a little bit. There will be a little minus sign in the top corner of the app. And if you're not using the app, you can click on that minus sign and it will remove the app from your phone. And so my first encouragement for us is that we go through and we eliminate all of the apps that we're not using. So if you look at it and you're like, I don't know what that's for, you may want to Google it and find out, hey, what is this app for? If you don't know, remove it. Okay. And it's, if you've paid for it, it's not going to remove it entirely from your phone. It's going to save the data in the back end of your phone. And if you were to download it again, like let's say you made a mistake and you needed it again, you could re-download it and all of your information would come back if you've paid for the app. If it's a free app, then you just start over again. So like, let's say that you went on a social media hiatus and you decided to delete your Facebook app. By deleting it, it doesn't delete your Facebook account. It just removes the app from your phone. Then if you ever downloaded it again, all of your information comes back. And so one of the first things I recommend is removing the apps that you're not using, because that's going to reduce some fatigue. When you open your phone, instead of seeing a whole bunch of stuff, think of it like the hotel room. You go in, everything's clean, it's orderly, it's easier to manage. All right, the next one is we want to use folders to organize our apps. Now, this is a folder. If you're looking at this particular screen here, this is a folder for social media. And I love this because what we can do is if you take an app, and do you remember how I said you push the button on the app? And when you push the button on the app, it jiggles a little bit. You can take the app and you can drag it over. And if you drag like a social media app on top of another social media app, it creates a folder. That's how easy it is to create a folder. And so my suggestion would be, if instead of having a whole bunch of apps that are just scattered all over your phone, that you categorize them into folders so that they're easier to access. And so one of the easy access ways of doing that is, and I'll show you this here, this is what the front of the phone looks like with all of the different individual apps. And so these are each folders. So we have one here for productivity. We have one for accounts, like this would be all of your bank information. Instead of having apps scattered all over your phone, if you go to pay your bills and you have all your credit cards, you have your Venmo, your Cash App, you have your bank information all in one folder, that makes it far easier to access by just clicking on that one folder, and then everything is there. I also have one up here for photography. And so, for example, I do a lot of YouTube stuff. And so because I do a lot of YouTube stuff, it would be interesting and important for me to have different camera apps that go with the different cameras that I use. So if I'm using my smartphone and I need to access an app, it's all in that one folder. So I have a folder for social media. I have one for all of the stores that I shop at. So it might be Walmart.com or Amazon.com, or it might be if I have different apps that are different stores that I shop at, it's all going to be in one folder. And that way you have everything at a glance. So by looking at the smartphone screen, what you're looking at is just a very simple version where everything is consolidated, and then you don't have all the apps popping out at you at once. You just have the ones that you're using. So that's a really great way to organize the smartphone for easy access. All right, the next one is to unsubscribe from email lists. And this is important because if you're like me and you get 1,600 emails a day, a lot of those emails are probably spam. And so you might be, have won $14 million or something from a bogus scam, and you're going to get these emails that are pounded to you every single day. And so what we've done is we've gone through, and there are apps that will go in and literally say, find all of the likely spam emails that are coming through and unsubscribe me from all of those. And then if there are any magazines or blog subscriptions that I'm no longer using, it will go through and it will look at the ones that you've recently accessed. And if you haven't accessed any of these, like it is spam, or you haven't accessed it in over a year or something like that, it will remove you from all of those. It will unsubscribe you from those. And that will just reduce down a lot of the electronic clutter. This becomes really important because when you open up your inbox, if there are 1,600 emails, whether you look at them or not, there's this overwhelming sense of, oh my goodness, that's a whole lot, right? And so what we want to do is, because we have our phones with us at all times, we want to create this as a safe space, and we want to make it user friendly. And by unsubscribing to all the emails and the subscriptions that we're not using, it's going to free up a lot of the space on our phone. And it's also going to create an easier space to navigate for those emails that come through that are actually important. Fran Thompson says, how do you name the folder? So when you hover over it, that's an excellent question. When you hover over it, it's going to create the app. And then at the very top, you just double click on that space once the app is open, and you can name it whatever you want. And so I've named mine social. I named one for stores. I have one for banking information. I have one for cameras. Let's see what else I have here. I've got a lot of apps that are very useful. I have one for workflow, which is all of my business productivity apps, which include my calendar, and it has my Google Drive. I've got one for different browsers. So it's got my Safari, it has my Google, it has Microsoft Edge, it has all of the stuff that I need there. I have one for storage, so it's got Dropbox and Google Drive, and it has another business drive that we use for all of our YouTube shows. I have one for creativity. And so this one in creativity has like little things you can do that are cool with photos. There's also one that you can do with like fancy fonts if you were to make like a social media post and you wanted to add some social fonts, that's there as well. I have one for entertainment, and in the entertainment, it has all my podcasts, and it has my like my Amazon, what do you call it? The Amazon Prime, like for TV watching, and it also has my Kindle books and my podcasts and all that stuff. I have another one for extras, and the extras are like my Google Keep file and some of my other productivity apps that I use all of the time. And then I have one for health, which is all of my fitness trackers and the sleep schedule at night. And then also my eating, what I'm eating during the day, which is an app there. And then I have one for utilities, which turns on all the different smart apps in my house, like my Ring doorbell, and it flips on lights at certain times of the day or night or things like that. So you can categorize it to your specific lifestyle, whether it's for your business or it's your personal use. But I would label it to be something that is easy, that you will recognize. And that way, when you log in, you're like, stores. Oh yes, that's where I keep my Amazon link, right? And that way you're going to know exactly where to find it without sorting through and scrolling through page by page of busy apps. So that's how we do that. All right, and that was a great question. Thanks for that. So the next one is to streamline your email. And if you are like me and you get lots of email, not just unsubscribing from emails, but there's a really great way to go through and to categorize the emails that come through. So you can either unsubscribe on the fly, or you can tag them as you go. Now, I use Microsoft Outlook for my business email, and you'll see that if you scroll all the way down to the bottom of that email, there's a little file folder. And if you click on the file folder in the next picture here, there is one that's called junk. I can just click on that junk, and then any email, in this particular one, it's Jason Butler, who keeps sending me emails. In this version, he sent me over 50 emails about that my business qualifies for a new loan or something. He's very eager to get me a business loan. But with this, then any emails that now come through for Jason Butler will go directly to the junk file folder. And that way it doesn't clog up my regular email bin with messages from Jason, because he emails me 3 or 4 times a day. Okay. So it's not that he's not aggressive and he's not trying to do business. It's just that I'm not in a position, or I'm not his target audience right now for a business loan. And so because this is not important to me, I want it to go straight to junk, and I don't want it to interrupt me. And so that's a great way to streamline that, by taking the emails and telling them what to do with them right when they come in. Now, another cool part of this, and I use this a lot for my business. So if there's an email that comes in that I want to save, like let's say, for example, that we get lots of press requests, or people who write articles for magazines will contact me and they say, can you be an expert and give us some advice on cleaning? And so I need that to go into a special file folder where it doesn't get deleted and it doesn't get caught up in all the other stuff, because usually those articles are on a deadline. So this will be like a hot file folder for me, so it goes directly to that. And every day when I jump into my email, or if I have an assistant that's working with me, they can jump right into that and they can let me know immediately what we're working on that have tight deadlines. And so there are different ways you can streamline that so that you're not finding it 4 or 5 days later going, oh man, I got to as many emails as I could and I just missed it because it fell through the cracks, right? So we want to streamline that as much as possible. All right, and the next one, and I love this. This is clear out your contacts. Now, whether you're on an Android or you're on a iOS device, there are different apps, and I'm not endorsing any particular apps, but here are 2 apps that I just pulled out of the store to show you that they exist. And they're all called something like Contacts Cleaner, or Clean Up Your Contacts, or Clear Out Your Contacts, or something like that. But what it will do is it will go through, and I love this concept, because whether you have lots of personal emails, or whether you use iCloud, or you have your Outlook emails, or whether you're part of like if you're doing real estate and you have MLS listings, everybody that you've ever talked to then becomes a contact. And so what happens when you open up your email or your iPhone, it will add all of your contacts together, and it's possible that you have 2 or 3 or 4 of the same contact with slightly different phone numbers or a slightly different name, like Karen M. Wilkins instead of Karen Wilkins, and it's the same person, but if they're listed differently on these different apps, it's going to create a separate contact for each of those. And so as I went through cleaning up my contacts, I found 3 and 4 of the same person that had the same phone number and it has the same whatever. So the clear out the contacts will go through and it will look at the names, it will look at the phone numbers, it looks at the email, and it says, do you want to merge these contacts? Yes, you do. And so as you merge them together, you've got one contact for Karen Wilkins instead of 4 with slightly different variations of the same person, right? And then if you have, like, for example, there was one that I was curious because I knew that they lived in Florida and they lived in Charlotte, North Carolina. They had 2 homes, and I had both of their addresses because I sent them Christmas cards. So I was curious to know, what does it do? Does it pick and choose of the addresses and then delete one of them, and it actually merged them? So it had address 1 and then address 2. So I still had that inside my contact list in the event that I wanted to send the Christmas card to Florida or send it to Charlotte, depending on where they were that year, right? So it merges the information and it makes it seamless. And if it's not sure, because I had 2 Jennifer Browns and the information was different. So then it threw up a little flag and it said, are these 2 different people with the same name, or is this the same person? So it gave me a choice, and I was able to say, no, they are 2 separate people. Please don't merge them. So it does give you a choice. So my suggestion is that you get an app. There are paid and free apps that allow you to do this, but go through and consolidate your contact lists for this reason. Should anything happen to you and somebody has to send out a message to your entire database saying, hey, we have, we're adding someone to the prayer list, or there was an accident, or whatever it is, they're not sending out 4 separate individual messages to that same person, right? So it consolidates everything, and it's going to be easier then to manage. So that's that, and I love that particular tip. All right, here's another one. We want to delete old photos and videos. This is easy to do while you're taking photos. Now, I know, for example, that because I do a lot of YouTube stuff, I'm really interested in making sure that I have the best version. And sometimes I don't know what the best version is until I get back to my office and I blow it up on a bigger screen and I'm actually able to look at it and go, oh, the lighting was better on this version than this version over here. So what I can do is, if I take 8 takes on something and I only know that I want to save 3 or 4 of them, I can delete them in real time. So that was a bad take, delete it. This was a bad take, delete it. This was a bad take, delete it. And then if I retake it, what I know is this: if I keep retaking something, chances are the first few ones that I took before that were not as good. And so that gives me permission to kind of remove some of those. Now, if you have an automatic backup, which is another one of the tips that we have here, if you have an automatic backup, this allows you then to hook up your phone so that you can automatically sync it to the cloud. And I don't know which cloud you use, but there's iCloud, there's Google Drive, and there's Dropbox. And for my business, we use Google Drive. For my personal, I use Dropbox. And that keeps it safe for me so that I'm not mixing and matching like personal vacation photos along with something that I took for my YouTube show. And so I can set it up to say, yes, sync this. And I've got two separate phones. This one is going to be on my Dropbox. It's going directly to Dropbox when I sync it. This other one is going directly to Google Drive. Now, if you only have one phone, most of the time you can pick and choose and just say, I'm going to upload this particular set of videos to my Dropbox account or to my Google Drive. And that way it's automatically there, and at your leisure, you can go through and pick the very best options. But that way it gets it off your phone and it's in the cloud. Then when you go to take your next vacation videos, only this vacation is on your phone, and you don't go back years where you have stuff stored on the phone and then it says, I'm sorry, we can't take any new photos because you're out of memory, right? If that's ever happened to you and you've missed vacation photos because you didn't know what to delete, by backing it up in the cloud, that's going to give you a little bit more latitude of having more space on your phone. So that's another option there. All right, we want to turn off app suggestions. Now, I don't know if you are like me, but a lot of times you'll log into your phone and your phone will automatically start giving you suggestions for apps. And sometimes it actually downloads them based on another app that you downloaded. It will upload it to your phone. And then all you have to do is click on it. When you click on it, it will automatically open because it's downloading it from the cloud. So you can log into your settings on your phone. And this is going to be true for whether you're on an iOS phone or an Android phone. but you log into your settings and you scroll down to where it says the store. And it either is going to be the Google store or it's going to be the App Store. And you want to turn off regular apps that are suggested to you, or you're going to offload unused apps. So both of those are options that you can use on your phone, but that way you are in complete control of the apps that you download, and it's not going to mysteriously download apps to your phone. I didn't know this, but for a long period of time, every time I was logging into a particular, it was like a free app of some sort, it was downloading different camera, what do you call them, like graphic design apps. And so I had all these graphic design apps on my phone. I couldn't remember whether I paid for them, whether they were free or whatever. But when I looked really closely at the app, there was a little cloud with a download button. And when I clicked on the app to see what it was, it would then download it to my phone. They were just app suggestions, but again, they were clogging my whole screen. And then I didn't know, what is this app for? And again, that's where we talk about the decision fatigue, where now you're trying to figure out, did I pay for that app? Is this a suggestion? Why is this on my phone? If it's on my phone, it must be important, right? Not necessarily. And so we want to reduce all the clutter by getting rid of the app suggestions and the unused apps and just cleaning up the phone that we use. Because if you're like me, you use your phone all day, every day for stuff. And so if every time you log in, there are like a kabillion apps that are jarring at you, unconsciously your mind says, wow, there's a lot of stuff here. This is a lot of clutter. And it's trying to sort through that in the quickest, fastest way possible. But again, it's giving you that sense of overwhelm and decision fatigue where there doesn't need to be any. So we want to turn off and reduce all of the noise. Okay. So that's what this whole idea is about. We want to manage our notifications in the same way. Now, I know that many people are on social media. I myself am on a lot of social media. And as a result of that, every time the phone dings, it interrupts you. And if there's a way that we can turn that off, that allows us then to focus on what it is we're doing at the time and only have the notifications when we need them. Okay, so right now I'm having a conversation with you, and this is my first priority. And so right now my phone is turned off of all notifications. During this time together, I don't want to be dinged and harassed and comments and all those things when I don't need to be. Okay, I don't unnecessarily want to be interrupted if I don't have to be. And so all of that will just go in the background. And then when I'm able, after we're done here, I can go back and I can log back on, and all the stuff that I skipped will be waiting for me. So I can access it whenever I want. But if somebody sends an Instagram that I'm following, it's not going to ding me and interrupt me all day. Okay, so my suggestion is turn off all the notifications. It's not that you're going to miss somebody's important moment, because when you log back in, if you're subscribed to their channel, it's going to eventually find its way to you. And if people are really, really important in your life, you're going to be aware of the stuff that's going on without missing it, right? And so my suggestion is turn off all the notifications on all the social medias that you don't absolutely need. And that will reduce a lot of the mental and emotional clutter, because you're going to feel like, oh no, I'm supposed to give somebody a high five for their kid winning a soccer game or something like that. Turn it all off. And then when you get a chance and you've got a few free minutes, you can sit down and you can respond to those in a meaningful way, where it's not just random texting and interruptions. Okay. We want to get rid of as many interruptions as possible. And it's amazing when you do how that will clear up a lot of the stuff that goes on in your life. All right, so another thing is that I recommend is using facial recognition. Now, we don't think of facial recognition as being a productivity app, but it actually is. And it's amazing when you have facial recognition, how much time and energy it's going to reduce from logging in every single time. Now, this is really important because, like for me, for example, if I have to log in to an account, I've got several different accounts. And so if I'm logging out of one account, I got to log back into another account. It's going to ask me for a password. And now we're in the era of two-factor authentication. And the two-factor authentication is now it's going to send me a 6-digit code. And I got to stop and plug in the code and all this stuff, which it's going to take a minute just to log into an app. With the facial recognition, it looks at me, it goes, boom, you're in. That's really important, especially if you're really busy and you're looking for ways to save time. And as we're talking about productivity and we're talking about reducing decision fatigue, This becomes really important as we move through the course of our day. You need to access your phone, look at it, boom, you're in, right? So facial recognition is a great time-saving tip, reducing fatigue of logging in and logging out and passwords. Now, one of the cool things about this is as you get older, it's really awesome to be able to use the facial recognition where your eyes may not be as good. And I know that, for example, when my parents were here, we connected my dad to the facial recognition because when he would log onto his phone, just the typing, it's not so great with his fingers. And then if he mistypes one letter to log into an account, then he has to go back and start all over again. And that was very frustrating for him. And so it was easier for him to just then look at the phone. The phone goes, yeah, we know it's you, and then log him right in. And so that's one of the tips that we recommend. And it just saves a lot of time as well. All right, so the next one is that we want to use a password manager. And the password manager is also along the lines of the facial recognition, where if you have lots of different, and everybody does now, lots of different bank accounts, you have a credit card account that has a different login and a password, you have maybe a website, maybe you have hospital, like a My Chart that either goes with your CVS or your Walgreens or whatever the drugstore is where you buy your prescriptions. If you have a medical chart that you log into, if you're a member of, say, AARP and you have a membership, if you belong to Costco and you have a Costco membership, whatever the memberships are, whatever the passwords are, whatever the accounts are that you have, this gets really interesting because a lot of people use the same password over and over and over and over again, right? What happens is every 90 days or so, a lot of the apps will say, hey, you've got to get a new password for security reasons. And so I know a lot of people that will add like a $ onto the end of their existing password to make it be a new password. So if the password was, I like Fridays, they would add I like Fridays and a $, and the next one would be I like Fridays and $2, and then I like Fridays at $3, and they just keep adding a $sign to it. What happens is they don't remember which version based on which account. And that's really easy to hack because if somebody knows the routine or if somebody could hack the routine, then what happens is they'll just start adding $ until they bust all your passwords. So with the password vault, this is one of the best productivity tips we've ever used. With the password vault, you can have it accessible with just your face. No one can get in unless they have your face. Once you have your face and you're able to get in, every single password is different and it's controlled by, there's a little dice. So when it says update your password, you click the dice and it gives you a whole new password. And there's a little scroll bar at the bottom and you can scroll it to say, make it be 9 characters or make it be 20 characters and add symbols in there or add capital letters. You know how sometimes it will say you need a really strong, secure password. It's hard for people to remember a whole bunch of passwords. And as a business owner, I have probably, I don't know, 300 or 400 accounts inside my password vault. And so every time we have an email, like the email has a password to log into the email, right? So do the websites, so do the credit cards, so do the business accounts, so does the QuickBooks Online. All that stuff has passwords to log in. Now, what's interesting is you can also assign a safe person to access your passwords. So let's say that you have a business partner or you have a spouse or you have a parent or a child or someone that's looking after you. They can have accessibility to your password vault. This becomes really important. Like right now, we have an elder parent that's in the hospital right now. And in the event that they don't make it out of the hospital, does the other partner have the password vault account so that they can access all the bank accounts and the investments and all that stuff? And so we want to make sure that there's a safe person in our lives that has the password accessibility. Now, I know in my family, I'm the safe person for my parents. And so if anything happened to my parents, then I would be the person that would log into their vault and I would be able to access their different accounts to help the person that has power of attorney. I'm not the power of attorney, but I'm the person that's in charge of the password vault, right? And so that allows someone else to have accessibility to that. Like, for example, my spouse has my information in case something were to happen to me. My parents also have the passwords because I trust my parents. So they're not going to log in with my face, but they do have a password that also will log in. And it has their phone number, which is going to send them a 2-factor authentication. So they have to have their phone that says, yes, we're logging into Angela's account on purpose, and then they can access all of my information. So if anything unfortunate should happen, and we don't know if somebody's going to have a heart attack. We don't know if somebody's going to be in an accident. We just don't know. But if everything that you had suddenly came to a halt and no one else could access it, that's terrible, right? Because there may be people in your family that need to access that information, insurance information for you. It could be your attorney information, a power of attorney. It could be your will. It could be any of that stuff, right? And one of the things about the password vault that I use, and I use Keeper Security, but one of the things about this vault that I use is that it will also allow you to take pictures. And so you can take pictures of a credit card, for example, or your passport or your driver's license or whatever. In the event that your wallet got stolen, if you were traveling, you have accessibility with unlock with your face. You can go to that particular file. You have a copy of the credit card. I always keep the customer service support number in there so that I can, at a glance, contact the company and say, hey, listen, my wallet was stolen and I need to cancel this credit card. I've got the actual credit card right there so I know what it looks like. I have all the information as far as the credit card number, customer service number, the cancellation number, the expiration date, all that stuff. So I can cancel it right there if need be. And I love to keep it electronically because if I'm holding onto my phone but someone stole my wallet or I left it or whatever, then at least I have accessibility to cancel that information on my person without going, oh, I got to wait till I get home to cancel all my stuff, right? So we want to work smart, not hard, and we want to reduce the stress that comes with not having our affairs in order. So that's the password manager. Okay, moving on. I got a little bit long-winded there, but I love that concept. All right, this one is use an ID wallpaper. Now, this is something that I created myself. And the reason that I created this is because I travel a lot. And if I'm in an airport and I put my smartphone, let's say that I put it on the top of the toilet paper rack, and then I get up and for some reason I forget it and I walk off, it's going to be in an airport somewhere. Okay. So the very first thing that's going to happen is someone's going to find the phone and they're going to click on it. And then what happens? They can't get in because they don't have a password. Okay. So as the screensaver on my phone, and this is the screensaver on my phone, I'll go back to the picture. It looks like this. There's a picture of me on it. So what they're going to do is they're going to start looking around. I'm looking for someone that looks like this picture. Well, most of the time, I'm going to say probably 10 times out of 10, I look exactly like my picture. I got a blue shirt on. I got my hair pulled back. It's in a bun. It's easy to access. And they're going to look for that person. Okay. So if they find that person, they're going to go, hey, lady, is this your phone? I'm going to go, yes, this is my phone. It also has my name underneath it. And it says this phone belongs to Angela Brown. So they could say, Angela Brown, is Angela Brown in the room? Oh, yes, that's me. Right? And then they're going to go, oh, yes, you look like your picture. Here's your phone. Right? So that's an easy way to do that. And this doesn't require any, you don't have to know any codes or anything to access this. I also have my date of birth. And I have a note on here that says, okay to ER. That means if something happens to me, it's okay to take me to the emergency room. I'm approving. And so if I'm not able to give you my verbal consent, it's right here on my phone. I said it's okay. All right, now underneath that, and I'll show you this big, it says, if found, please return to, and then emergency contact. The emergency contact is my husband. And so this is Pat, this is Pat's phone number, and then the address. And the reason that I have this here is because if something were to happen to me, you can't call me because you have my phone. I'm not going to answer. You have my phone, right? So you can't call me, but you can call Pat. And you could call Pat and say, hey, Pat, we found Angela's phone. And he's going to say, oh, great. Let me make sure that we have a way for you to give that back to us. And he'll probably offer you a reward at that time. Okay. And I don't want to advertise that there's a reward because I don't want someone to steal my phone hoping for a reward. But if someone was kind enough to return it, he would give you some kind of a reward. This also says he's my emergency contact. So if I were to have fallen and I can't get up or something happens and someone finds my phone, it's okay to ER. But what they also know is this is the emergency contact. They're going to call Pat right now. Hey, Pat, we found Angela. We're on the way to the hospital right now. We have her phone. Come on over. Here's where to find us, right? So they're going to get in touch with him. And then also, if found, it says, please return to. there's my PO box. And so if someone were kind enough to return this to us, then, and this happened to me once, I was sitting at a restaurant and my phone slid behind my seat, and the sofa cushions where the back of the cushion meets the chair, it like slid down in that area. And I got up and I looked around and I didn't see anything. Assuming my phone was in my purse, I drove away and I didn't have my phone with me. 2 days later, it showed up inside my mailbox because my address was on my phone. Somebody found it while the phone was still had a charge on it. They shipped it back to me and I never did know who sent it to me. There was no reward because they didn't have any return address information. But somebody shipped my phone back to me completely. It still had charge on it. It was awesome. Okay, great. But that way you get your phone back if something happens. So we don't want somebody to go, wow, I just found a $1,200 smartphone, and then have no way to get it back to you if that happens. So again, we want to reduce the mistakes that happen on our phone and the extra stress. If I lost my phone, I would be so stressed out because I use it all the time, right? And so would you be. But if somebody shipped it back to you because you took one extra smartphone tactic and you were able to put your ID on there, then you get your phone back. And also if something were to happen to you, then somebody contacts you right away, right? All right, so there's that tip as well. I want to throw in a tip that's not part of today's session, but I want to share this with you just in case. Most smartphones have something, and I know that the iPhone is true. If I hold the side button for 5 seconds, it's going to call 911. And I did this accidentally one time. I didn't know this was the case, and it was pushing up against that button for some reason, and it called 911. And I got a text that said, stay where you are, don't panic, we're on the way. And I was like, whoa, what does this mean? I didn't even know this existed. Then my phone rang and my husband called me and he said, are you okay? And I said, yes, I'm okay. Why do you ask? He said, I just got an emergency notification from your phone that you were in danger. And I said, whoa. Then I got a phone call from my father-in-law, who I had not been speaking to for several years. And he said, are you okay? And I thought that was peculiar because, like, why are you calling me? And unbeknownst to me, he was an emergency contact in my phone from years ago. So it contacted him as well. And it said, hey, Angela's in trouble. And he cared enough, which was really kind of cool because that was actually the mending bridge that brought us back together again, was he called and said, hey, I still care. Are you okay? And then I was like, I don't know what's going on and how you got notified or any of these things. But then the cool part of it was 911 called me and they said, are you okay? Don't worry. We're sending someone over. We've tracked your location. I was like, stop. It was an accident. I didn't know this was the case. But then it was really good to know, because if you are in a situation of panic and you don't have the ability to call somebody, like let's say somebody's in the room and you're in danger, you can just push that button for 5 seconds. They will start tracking your location, and they will notify the people on your list. So just FYI. All right, moving on. Isn't this fun? We're just learning so many fun things today about our phones. This is one that I use every day. I'm going to say about 100 times a day. This is called Google Keep, and this is a free product by Google. And so if you go to your, let me just actually show you if I can. But what this is basically a glorified checklist. And it allows you to do a whole lot of things that that normally you would not be able to do. But let me show you this. This is today's show. And what I've created is a Google Keep file. And if I get out of this, I'm going to show you if I get out of this. And that's not, okay. I'm sharing my screen here. If I go up in the top right-hand corner, do you see how I'm clicking on this little tiny keypad that has 9 dots in it? If I click on that, it opens up my screen, and I can go down and I can choose this yellow icon that has a little light bulb on it. That's called Google Keep. When I click on that, it opens up a whole bunch of different checklists that I have that I use for my business. And you can use this for shopping lists. You can use this for your business. You can use it for anytime you're doing anything, like if you need a checklist for cleaning, if you need a checklist for moving out. It's great for, and I'll click on this one because you can add pictures to it as well. This is the one for today's show. So instead of me having a checklist in my head that I'm using and nobody else on my team knows that I'm using it, what I can do is I can share this checklist with them. So if I scroll down here to the bottom, you'll see that at the bottom, there are a whole bunch of little icons down here. These are people on my team that I've shared this checklist with. And this gets really cool because, like, let's say that you went to a grocery store and you wanted to buy some groceries, but you didn't know what you were out of. During the week, while you have your smartphone with you, you can keep track of the different groceries in your house. And in my situation, it's my husband that does the grocery shopping. So I can add my husband down here at the bottom simply by clicking on the little person with the plus sign. When you click on that, it says, who do you want to add to the list? And you add an email and then you hit save. And then it adds them as a person down here at the bottom. So in the event that my husband was out grocery shopping, he has this on his phone as well. And as he checks something off the list, you'll see how it brings it to the bottom and it crosses it off. Let's say, and this one said that we're going to make an announcement for today's show on Social Pilot. But this, let's say that this was, I need to buy some macaroni and cheese. I'm just making this up. And let's say that we purchased it, it would cross it off here at the bottom of the list. Now, let's say that I'd run out of macaroni and cheese again, and I have a revolving checklist. I just come back and I uncheck that, and it now sends it to the top of the list once again. So as you run out of things, you go to the bottom of the list and you uncheck it. Then you go to the top of the list and you check it off again once it's done. And you just check stuff off as it happens, and it goes to the bottom of the list. Then when you're done, like I just checked these things off right here, when you're done, you uncheck them and it goes back to the top of the list. And so I don't have to keep recreating a whole bunch of new checklists. I just keep using the same checklist over and over and over again. And what's really cool about this is I can change this to be any color I want. So let's say that for this show, this was blue, but let's say that this was for a different color of show. Like I've got several different shows on YouTube, but let's say for a different show, I wanted it to be a different color so that at a glance, all of those colors belong to that show, right? So this helps you compartmentalize all the things that you're doing by then streamlining the color just by switching the color code. So now it's purple, and that could be for something totally different. So you could have all your shopping lists to be one color. You could have all your cleaning lists be a particular color. You could have all of your, let's say it's a Christmas shopping list. And throughout the year, you're going to have a Christmas shopping list of the different people that you shop for. And you're not sure if you have purchased a gift for them or not. If you're keeping a running tally throughout the year, you check it off as you go. Then when you go at the end of the year, you uncheck their names and they go back to the top of the list, and now you go shopping for them again, right? That way, at a glance, you know what you've purchased for people, and you can also add notes to the side. What's really cool about this list also, and I don't know if you saw this or not, I will add this back here, is you can see that there are hyperlinks. So you can add a hyperlink, and then when you click on that, you can open that right directly from here. And so this then allows whatever you're doing, and it's not going to switch screens because I'm logged in. I'm logged into the internet, so it won't let me actually click on that right now. But that will allow you then to add hyperlinks. You can add images. I know that oftentimes if I run out of something and I'm sending my husband to the store, what I can do is take a picture of the particular item and say I'm out of this specific item with the brand and how many ounces it is and all that stuff, so that when he goes to the store, he's not guessing what it is I'm asking for, but he knows exactly which one it is. So that's always awesome right there. Another thing that we use this for is you can also draw this image you'll see here of the penguin. You can also do custom drawings where if, for example, you just wanted to make a quick picture about something so that it reminds you when you get back, it gives you the opportunity to do that in real time. There are also labels on the far side here. There are labels that will let you label your keep files. And I label mine, for example, like let's say that it's a social media post. I can label it as social media. So this is something I need to get back to somebody because it's a social media request. Or if it's a client request, I can take a picture of something. This belongs to this particular client file, and then I can go ahead and label it as the client file. If there's something that's important for somebody on my team, I can say this is a Rita issue, and I can tag Rita in this, but I can also label Rita with that. This is also cool if you have kids or you have different people in your family that you're keeping up with different things. It could be that you're supposed to call your mother and then you want to make notes for mom. All the mom notes can be categorized. So you just click on the mom label and all the mom notes pop up. So it's really awesome if you are managing the care of someone else, especially if you're like a 24/7 caregiver and you're keeping track of medications, you're keeping track of doctor's appointments, you're keeping track of their shopping or the things that they need or the things that they ran out of or the conversations that they need to have with a therapist or a doctor or whatever. And so I use the Google Keep. Again, this is a 100% free app. It is by Google. And if you use Google on your smartphone, you are able to access this. And it's one of the most useful tools that I've ever used. But it streamlines everything so that I don't have to remember all of that stuff myself. Because by remembering it myself, that adds extra stress and extra chaos. And we talk about the decision fatigue. I have the decisions that I've got to make. Did I remember that? Where's my notes? Do I have Post-it notes? Did I write it down on it? None of that stuff. It's on my phone and I keep my phone with me 24/7, right? So anywhere I go, I know that, oh yes, I have that with me and I can just access it by one click. And so that's the power of that. And so I would encourage you, if you don't have the Google Keep, just invest in that. There are also some really great YouTube apps, YouTube shows that show you how to get the most out of Google Keep. So I recommend that as well. There's one here that I want to highlight. And I know that a lot of us are using Alexa, and Alexa, hey, Alexa, play me a song. And if I just said that and I just activated Alexa.
Here's iHeartRadio.
And now she's going to play me a song. Alexa, turn off the song. I didn't mean to do that. But our phones also have the same capability. And so with the phone, I can say, hey, Siri, play me a Roger Whittaker song. And it will activate this and it will start playing a Roger Whittaker song or whatever the activation is that you use. And so if you have a Google phone, you say, hey, Google. If it's Siri, you say, hey, Siri. And I'm going to turn that off because it's trying to find me a song now as well. But just like we use Alexa, Siri, Google, there are now voice assistants that can help us. And so I can say, hey, Siri, send Jennifer a text. I'll be there in 10 minutes. It uses whatever apps I have available to send a text. It will use WhatsApp, it will use iMessage, it will use Facebook Messenger. If I use regular text, it will use regular text or iCloud or whatever, okay? So there are a lot of different things that we can use that instead of us trying to remember, we can say, get directions to the nearest gas station. It will guide us there. We can say, what time is it right now in Los Angeles? I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, so that would be a common question that I would ask. Because if I ask and I'm making a phone call, I don't want to wake somebody up 3 hours before it's time for them to get up in the morning. And so I can say, what time is it right now in Los Angeles? What time is it in Seattle? And even though there's a 3-hour time difference, it will tell me right now. And at a quick glance, I can go, oh, I'll wait a couple hours to call them. Now, if I need to call that person when their business hours open, I can say, please make me a note to call Jennifer at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then Pacific Standard Time at 9 a.m., it's going to send me a reminder and say, hey, did you call Jennifer? And so without making notes and, again, that decision fatigue, I can use my virtual assistant, which is absolutely free on most smartphones. And I say most smartphones. I don't know if that's the case on pay-as-you-go phones, but if you have a regular account with like a Google or an Android iOS device, it will allow you to do that. So that is the situation there. I can also say things like turn on my flashlight. And I love this because I know that when my dad was here, we were able to hook up a lot of the different apps. So if I say, hey, Siri, turn on my flashlight, and I push the button, hey, Siri, turn on my flashlight. It just turned on my flashlight. Hey, Siri, turn off my flashlight. Well, and now it turned it off. So it takes a second for that to activate, but that's much quicker than like searching through all the apps and trying to figure out how to activate all that stuff, right? So we want to use virtual assistants as much as possible because it's technology that's available to us. And again, as we get older, eyesight is not as clear. And do we remember? That's the key. Do we remember? And if we're at a point, well, I know I got a flashlight here on my phone somewhere, I don't remember where it is, and we waste a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, that adds to the confusion and chaos of us, just feeling exhausted and overwhelmed. And It's little tiny decisions throughout the course of the entire day built up that cause that overwhelmed feeling. So if we're using our tools for the maximum productivity, it's going to make our lives a whole lot easier and a whole lot more seamless. So there's also a digital bookmark, and I wanted to highlight this. I mentioned that I use the sleep tapes when I go to sleep at night. And again, they're up here in the notes. If you scroll back up to the notes, we've got one here. I think this is the note right here. I've just added it back to the screen that has the new tape. And this is an 8-hour program tape that you can listen to as you go to sleep at night. And it's all based on positive affirmations and helping you have the best possible day. But what I've done is I've gone to my smartphone, and whenever I'm on a website that I want to remember, I copy the YouTube link. And if you're on YouTube, this is a really great way to do it. Like if you want to go back to a YouTube show that you really enjoyed, that you want to access frequently or again, over and over again, what I do is there's a little tiny arrow button underneath the video where it says share. I copy that link and then I paste it into a notepad. And that way I can say, open my notes, click on this, and it will click on that. And just by voice activation, I can activate that every single night. That way I'm not going back to YouTube and I'm searching and trying to find it. What was the name of that show and all that stuff. So it makes it a whole lot easier, especially if you have like a list of things that you use on a regular basis. And like with the sleep tape, I've got a couple different guided meditations, a couple hypnotherapy tapes. Like if I'm having a really tough time sleeping as a business owner and I'm super stressed out, I've got a hypnotherapy tape that's about better sleep. It kind of puts me back to sleep and it helps me realize, hey, you know, everything's going to be okay. Go back to bed. So there are a lot of useful things that you can do on your phone. And so these tips that I'm sharing with you today are not just to streamline your work, but to also reduce the decision fatigue and the clutter and the stress that we just put ourselves through every day because we weren't paying attention. This one is on limiting the social media apps. It's really easy to feel like we have to keep up with everything and everyone, and that's not the case. My suggestion would be to pick a couple of social media apps that you use, like Facebook and Twitter or Facebook and Instagram, and get rid of all the extra stuff that you're not using on a regular basis, because it's easy to get caught up in seeing all the apps and then feeling like, oh, I was supposed to post today on Pinterest and I didn't. If you're not using it on a regular basis, just get it off your phone. Again, it's not going to delete your account. It's just simply going to remove it from your consciousness. It's still there if you ever want to access it again. And you can always say, hey, Siri, open up Pinterest, and it will open it back up again. But that way it's limiting it to the front of your phone, so you're not seeing all the clutter every time you log in, right? So that's the purpose of that. There's another one I have here, which is use the do not disturb feature. Now, again, right now I am in a conversation with you. And so my do not disturb feature is on, and it's also known as airplane mode. And so what happens then if someone were to call right now while I'm on the phone with you, it's going to roll over to a voice messaging service that I have. And if you don't have a voice messaging service, you can roll it over to just your answering where it says, hey, you've reached Angela and I'm not here, or you know, I'm on a call or something, whatever your message says, and then someone can leave a voicemail. That way it's not interrupting you and the phone is not ringing. And my suggestion would be turn that off if you're having dinner with family and friends, if you are meditating, or if you're out walking and you're just focusing on, you know, getting your mind in the right place for the day, you're having moments of meditation, turn that off when you don't absolutely allow yourself to be interrupted. And by doing that and just taking a couple of windows during the day where you answer your phone maybe 4 times during the day and all the rest of the time it's turned off and it's in quiet mode, that's going to keep all the dings and the rings from happening, because you've consciously gone offline so that you then can focus on writing or reading or doing the things that are productive to you. And that way it will reduce the stress of just constantly being bombarded and being interrupted during the course of the day. So there's the do not disturb feature, which I love. And then there's also a Stream Deck for apps. And we're almost up on our time for today. But what I wanted to highlight about this particular one is this allows you to create custom apps. And so let's say, for example, that, and I'll share with you how I use it because this is really interesting. But how I use the custom apps is, for example, when I go to do my payroll, I have a custom app for each of my individual employees. So I can click on that one app, and it's literally just a URL where I have that employee's information. And so any URL, any app, you can plug anything you want into that. And it takes a little bit of programming. The app is easy to use, and there are different apps for the different phones. But each employee has its own little file. So I can look at their progress report by clicking on one app. It will just open up their progress report. And without me logging in and adding a password and going to a file and opening up that file and scrolling down and clicking on this subfolder and all these things, I just click on the one button that I need, and it opens up their progress report, and there we go. Then I can click on the next app for the same employee. If I have them in file folders, I can click on it and say, okay, it's time for payroll. And I can click on pay this employee or this independent contractor. They did these things. Yes, I pass it off. Click, 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 click. We're done, right? So you can streamline all of your stuff that you use. Let's say that you are practicing music and you have a lot of digital music that you access. All the different songs that you play, each one of those could be an individual app. So you open up a folder of your music practice for today, and on each of the songs that you're working on, you click on it and boom, that music pops up. Click on the next song, boom, that music pops up. It's very easy depending on what it is you're doing. If you're really big into cooking, each of your favorite recipes could be each one of those apps. So every time you go to make macaroni and cheese, you push on that button, boom, the mac and cheese app appears. Go to click on meatloaf, push it, boom, the meatloaf one appears. So it's a custom app that you can create, and you would keep it in just a file folder for, let's say, recipes. So there are a lot of different ways that you can use your smartphone, and we're out of time for today. But let's start thinking when it comes to clutter. Let's talk about getting rid of all of the stuff that we're not using, and then use productivity apps to streamline the stuff that we are. And that way it's going to reduce decision fatigue. It's going to reduce the stress. And then when we log onto our phone, instead of going, oh, I've got all these emails and all this stuff going on, it's going to be like walking into that hotel room where everything is clean and you're going directly to what you need instead of just being overwhelmed and distracted by all the other stuff. So that is my good news for today, that we are going to streamline our smartphones as we streamline our lives. So this is just one little element, but it'll make all the difference in the world. All right, that is it for today. I'm looking at all of your comments here. Hi, Virginia. I'm super glad that you joined me. Joni, good that you're here as well. Again, Fran is here. Fran, I appreciate your help. Thanks for your comments as well. I will leave you guys until this time next week when we will finish up our series about decluttering and distractions in our life and how to get the most for the life that we're living. All right, have a great week, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks again for joining me today.